Little Ham says it's time to rock and roll.
Bring the noise.
This is the Nikki X Happy Hour. Your hosts today are Lee Vowell.
I should go home and see all this shit.
And Todd Vandenberg.
A mimosa for guys. I'm choking back with tears of joy thinking of a mimosa for guys.
The greatest guys in the world.
Well, everybody thank me at once.
And of course, that was an old intro, so the star of the show, Ted Hicks.
The very best at what he does each and every day of his life.
So thanks for joining us on our Nikki X Happy Hour Election Night Special with Ted, Todd, and Lee. You can like us on the Facebook, follow us on the Twitter at HappyHourNet. In just a few minutes, we will be talking with our good friend, Rob Steele. Rob is a Trump supporter. And no, I'm making that up. I joke. And closer to the top of the hour with longtime friend of the show, Big Mike, we will be talking University of Texas football. So, Ted, where else can you hear us?
Oh, you can hear us.
Now that you've decided to show up and not do anything.
He was suppressing voting. Give him a break.
I guess he was.
Dude, it took me forever to get to the polls to cast my ballot today because there were so many stumbling blocks in the way. But I'm here now. Can you hear me?
Yes.
We can hear you, Ted. We can hear you, Ted.
Yes, we can hear you.
Oh, okay. I just wanted to make sure. Yeah. So, but I'm here. I just made it. Barely.
You did. So who else do we have to thank?
Oh, because I was one of those people waiting online and the door is closed. But it's my constitutional right to be able to make my vote.
That's true.
So maybe
that's our show. I apologize to Rob and Mike for not being able to be on because Ted was talking about something.
This is Ted scrambling for the outline.
Hey, how'd you know?
Ted's been trying to vote since 6:15 this morning.
Yes, I'm here. But hey, so many different people to thank you. You can hear us on I-95 Sports Network, Mile High Radio, XRP Radio, iHeartRadio, iTunes, Arena Sports Network, and who else, Todd?
Your official sponsor for the future of America, Cappy's Original Wicked Hot Sauce, found only on eBay and voting booths throughout the country.
So, yes, that was fast. That was really fast. So, it looks like Hillary has lost another, of course, we're here to talk presidential election and Senate and biggest cat in the world. That's later on in the show. But it looks like Donald Trump has taken West Virginia, sadly, a state that Clinton expected to lose. And so Trump is way ahead in the Electoral College vote, 24-3 at this point.
Wow.
Dominating the rural areas of the United States so far. So far he's won Indiana, Kentucky, and West Virginia. And states that most people don't. And Clinton has won the ice cream state of Vermont. So, Todd, you've been kind of watching these results come in and projections. So, what's your take right after this word from Kroger? No, I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
Not too concerned, seriously. There's a site we all been looking at called Votecaster, and these are just projections. They're not actual counts, but they're using thousands and thousands of people polled instead of hundreds, and they're including projections from what we already know from the early voting. They've got Clinton, and this is a projection of what Clinton has so far. They have Clinton at just under 5 million votes in Florida and Donald Trump at just under 4.6, so she's ahead there. Again, a projection. She's ahead in Iowa. She's ahead in Nevada. She's ahead in New Hampshire. She's ahead in Ohio, although that's really close. It's about 1% difference between the two of them there. Ahead in Pennsylvania and in Wisconsin. So again, these are projections, but they're designed to be based more on actual results already, as opposed to pie in the sky things that we polls from yesterday or whatever, because they do incorporate results from the early voting, and the early voting has been huge in this election. So we'll see how it projects. I mean, and like you said, if Trump did not take the states he's taken so far, I mean, it would be over already. Those are the states he has to take. States like Indiana, Kentucky, West Virginia, et cetera, et cetera. So, I mean, those are traditionally go for Republicans. So, no surprise there. And it's really, really early. Obviously, it's really early.
Hey, Todd, why don't you bring in our first guest?
Our first guest tonight is the fabulous host. He's some guy.
I like Coast.
He is on many shows. He is on Cinema Savants, but tonight he's going to speak about shenanigans and chicanery.
He's a coast.
He's a coast. He's a coast. He is a coast. What's up, Rob?
I'm
Rob
a coast.
Steele.
Wow. I don't even know anymore. I've lost track.
Well, have you seen?
Today has just been stupid.
Well, it's about to get stupider,
yeah,
probably.
Election day is supposed to be stupid.
That's right. Yeah.
So,
so Rob, what? I don't know what Ted's doing, but Rob, so what does your area of Georgia look like? I mean, is it just predominantly Trump supporters, and do you get a take on the way Georgia voters inherently vote? Rob, you are Georgia tonight. And
wow.
I've got to complain about your traffic.
This thing's screwed.
Your traffic is awful. I'll just say that.
Oh, no argument from me. And if you think it's bad in Atlanta, you should try rush hour in Grovetown, which is where I am. You know why? Because everyone leaves Fort Gordon, which is like the second biggest Army base on the planet, and they leave it on a 2-lane road, and one of the lanes is going the other direction. Yeah, that's going to work. Anyway. Yeah, entirely too many Trump supporters here. But okay, so I have to tell the story of voting this morning because it's just that stupid, and should tell you how things are going in this area. I think I mentioned last time I talked to you guys. Yes, I had not voted until this morning because I just have to go across the street to vote. Right.
Right.
Well. Last night, my wife got online and she saw the thing on Facebook, where do you need to vote? And she said, I'm going to check. Google and Facebook and Twitter and like 8 other sites said, we don't go to the middle school, we go to the town hall. Really? That's interesting. So I have to pass where I usually vote to go to another place. And I go to City Hall this morning. And I get there and I found out that there's a back door to City Hall. I did not know this. And that's where you have to go to vote. And I go in and I fill out the little paperwork and I show my ID and they say, no, you're supposed to go vote at the middle school. Really? Can't make up your – did someone tell Google, oh, you're one of the people who looked it up online? Why did you look it up online? It's always the same. I'm like, well, then why did you change it on Google? Fine.
Nice.
Now, I've got my 8-year-old daughter with me because school is out today. Mm-hmm. Because that just makes things easier to vote, right? Taking your kids with you. Sure. Well, rather than go directly to the middle school, I got to go buy groceries. I buy groceries, I'll stop by the middle school on the way home and vote. I'm almost done grocery shopping when my little one says, Dad, what do we have left? I said, we got hot dog buns and iced tea for your mom. And so she yells, thank God, the only thing we have left to do is buy hot dog buns and iced tea, then we go vote for Hillary Clinton, then we can go the hell home. My 8-year-old.
That's nice. That's awesome.
I have no coercing from me at all. I don't talk politics with her because she's 8. You don't talk politics with an 8-year-old. But I said, okay, so why are we voting for Hillary? Do you know who Hillary is? She's the blonde lady in the suit. Okay. You don't want me to vote for Donald Trump? No, Dad. Donald Trump is a tool. Really? Wow. And this is coming from my 8. I have not said a damn thing to her. So, yes, go to the middle school. And, yes, I voted. Woohoo.
Hey, I do have a point about closing schools. Actually, there are too many nut jobs in the world. It's not really taking your kids to vote. It's that there are too many nut jobs in the world who would go into a school with kids there. Unfortunately, I think that's why they've changed it. Didn't used to be that way. I don't remember ever having to get out of school. But, I mean, nowadays it's like it's sad the way this country has turned. So, are there any particular races or propositions from prostitutes in Georgia that interest you? Todd's word. In Georgia,
there's actually not one in Georgia. There's one I'm looking at. The state representative in the 15th district of Michigan, which I'm sure has just confused the crap out of you guys.
No, I was thinking she was a prostitute.
Do you know who's running in that race? That would be Rhino from the WWE.
Oh,
which
wow!
I never would have guessed him as a politician, but hey, there you go.
That's
I saw that earlier and went, really, Rhino? All right.
That's pretty weird.
I thought, well, hey, I'm from the same Tennessee place you guys are. Do you know who wanted to run a couple years ago as the representative from Tennessee?
Oh, yeah, the lady
same
from
Saturday
Night Live. Is that who you're thinking about?
No, I'm thinking of Kane.
Kane,
oh,
yeah.
Okay, because we also
Really?
had the lady from Saturday Night Live who wanted to run, and she was a right-wing nut job. And I don't think she didn't get elected, thankfully, but she was crazy. I'm trying to remember her name. Some white lady.
Well, I don't think Kane is much saner. I didn't realize that the red in his costume meant he was a Republican.
right.
No.
But was it the corporate Kane version of that, or the crazy Kane?
No, this was Dr. Dwight. What was his name? Isaac Yankem. Yeah, same dude. No costume, just. Yeah, I went back, and I think Todd's the only one who caught that. Yes, Kane used to be a dentist character on the WWF called Dr. Isaac Yankem.
Isaac Yankem, yep.
That's horrific. The Kane character is not much different.
Not true. It's not that different at all.
No. But guys, this election's just stupid. I have two quotes that I have to throw at you, and I'm trying to figure out which one is the better quote to sum up this election. One quote is from Glenn Beck, who I thought had died, but apparently didn't. The quote from Glenn Beck was, "Donald Trump is dangerously unhinged," which confused the crap out of me. I thought this was, the Fox News main guy for years, and he doesn't like Trump. The other quote, I'm trying to figure out if that is a better quote than the one from
CNN
Stevie
now
Wonder.
too, I think, isn't he? Isn't Glenn Beck on CNN?
No, he's on the Blaze. He has his own network.
Oh, okay.
Oh, of course. That's why I don't get it. I've unprogrammed it from my TV. The other quote is from Stevie Wonder. And Stevie Wonder said, "Voting for Trump is like asking me to drive." I'm trying to figure out which is the better quote. Got opinions?
I do like the Stevie Wonder quote.
What about the one? What about the one he says, "Barack Obama made me a better man," from Glenn Beck?
I saw that. It doesn't quite work with the election, but yes, I saw that and went, really? Where the hell was this guy when he was on Fox? Because that's not making any sense to me. He's on his own network now, and I can write my own material. What?
He's had a change of heart and mind, which it appears to be authentic because he's not making any extra money doing this, so I'm assuming it's real. I'm going to jump back to the legacy of the election. What do you think is going to be the legacy of Bernie Sanders coming out of all of this?
Jeez, Bernie? I frankly haven't given Bernie a whole lot of thought since I found out that I couldn't vote for him in the election. I think it is possible that he could end up running the Senate, which would be really good.
Right.
I'm wondering if he's going to be around for the next election. And if he is, how that would go. Ought to be interesting.
The funny thing is, if they do take the Senate and he would wind up being the majority leader, that means he's going to have to stay in the Democratic Party because he can't switch back to being an independent again, which he was most of the time. So I wonder how comfortable he is with that.
Wouldn't know. but Hillary took his state, so I suppose we're all okay for now.
Yeah, the ice cream state, indeed. So if Trump manages to pull this off, what's next up for Democrats? Where do they go? What do they do? And I don't mean Canada. I mean, realistically.
No, I think the SpaceX program is getting ready to send everybody to Mars who doesn't plan it. I really hope that they've actually gotten that far, because I'll be on the ship going, yeah, let's get the hell out of here. He's just. Here's something I've never thought I would say. I'm agreeing with Glenn Beck. Trump is nuts. He wants to use the nuclear weapons, which, please don't. I can just envision some conversation shortly after he's been elected that goes something along the lines of, North Korea, I've had enough of them. Let me see there's the button, click, and the world blows up. And I don't want that to happen.
That would be not the preferable outcome. That's quite true.
No.
No matter who wins tonight, do you think there's going to be a big shakeup in the Republican Party? I mean, he's pushed away the old power core if he wins, and he cost them the election if he loses. So either way, they're not happy. What do you think is going to shake up there?
Well, if my vote had any indication, a lot of people in my area are running as a Republican and unopposed. So for every one of them, I actually did write in any Democrat. I'm not sure how that's going to go over. I'm not sure it's actually going to come up anywhere, but damn it, that's the way I'm voting. I don't know. I mean, there's still some Republicans that support him, like Sarah Palin, who is supposed to be part of his cabinet if he gets elected. And if he does, this is just a bizarre thing. I think it might be a good thing if she does. Because I don't think that the Christians could stand it if she came out of the cabinet, which is as close to a closet as we're likely to figure out of her getting into. So, can you imagine how many people's head would explode if she actually came out of the closet? I'm making things up as I go along, by the way.
That's okay. Yeah, I was thinking it's okay, because we're just. I mean, we're not CNN, we're not MSNBC. We're just schlubs. We can make up the whole show, and anybody listening would be like, "Oh yeah, maybe that's right." Of course, Trump's made up a whole bunch of stuff, and he's almost the president of the United States. So
here's something new, completely not made up, and has absolutely nothing to do with this, but I think it's the best news of the day. They've confirmed that they're going to make a season 3 of Young Justice. To me, that's
I saw that. That is big news.
All day.
Well,
we'll talk more about that on Sunday.
Yeah, definitely. We appreciate you answering our questions, our silly little questions. But let people know where you can be found on social media, read your writings, read your Glenn Beck love, things like that.
Oh, geez. Find me on Twitter at RealRobSteele. Find my website. It's got everything on it. Steele42.com. Steele has 3 E's. They're just not consecutive. You can figure that out. Tomorrow I've got a new episode of 2 Pages of Mystery coming out. Friday I'm going to have a very happy episode of The FWAT Show because I won't have to cover any election crap. And then Sunday, who's the guy I do the show with on Sunday? Oh, yeah, Todd. Hi, Todd.
A buffoon.
How you doing?
A total buffoon. Or he plays one convincingly on the radio.
Doing Cinema Savants right here on the Happy Hour Network.
Awesome. Well, I'll tune in. I think you guys are great. So, Rob, if you want to keep listening, I
never tune in live, but I tell you, I always listen to you guys on the archive poll of the show. It's a great show, especially like when you're on a treadmill or you're just trying to push through something. And I got to tell you, the last week's show was excellent.
Yeah. You know who has another great show? Mike Barnes. If you love Texas sports, it's definitely a show you should listen to. So, Mike, how are you?
Man, I'm doing great. I'm just glued to the TV. I'm getting ready to watch the Trump implosion. But other than that, we're having a great night.
Well, I think it's overblown. I mean, just judging from like the 1% that's in Virginia, I mean, it's amazing how big of a lead he has, and I'm being sarcastic, obviously. So, what's your view of Texas? I say this knowing that Texas is going to be red, but I hear that in the long run, there's a possibility maybe Texas will turn purple because of the increase in Latin American voters and things like that. What's your thought on that? You think that actually could be true one day?
Yeah, possibly. Texas is obviously has been historically red for a long time. It was a blue state for a while, but I can see in the future it going blue. But the way this is what has to happen for Texas to go blue, though. You're going to have a Democratic candidate who is a little more middle. Far left is just not going to work. I mean, I may lean left in a lot of ways and a lot of things, but in other words, a Democrat, left-leaning Democrat, generally speaking, in Texas, is probably still way too conservative for most people that identify themselves as a liberal. Because even your Democrats down here are packing weapons, and you're not going to take our guns away. It's a way of life down here. Hunting. I'm a big Second Amendment guy. I carry a gun just about every place I go, and you're not taking my gun. I'm all for people having weapons. You're not. You come in my yard, you're getting shot. I mean, it's just a different. So I'm just saying. So for that to happen, you're going to have somebody on the Democratic side that's going to have to lessen their stance a little bit on the Second Amendment, and they're going to have to move in the middle on some economic issues. I'm a big low tax guy too. I believe in low taxes. So again, I can lean left and be Democratic, but your average person like me down here, it can never go as far left as a New York liberal or a California liberal. It's just not going to happen because of our way of life down here. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. It's just reality. Right.
So are there any current, beyond the presidential election, any races in Texas that are really standing out to you, or any kind of issues that have come up in the on the ballot this year that really stand out?
Well, I mean, you're always going to have the fringe. I mean, Trump has definitely given voice to the bottom 20% of society and feel like they've come out of the closet. I mean, you're always going to have racism and people. But I mean, I live in Houston, and I mean, we're a very diverse city now. I mean, we have Asians, major Asian populations, obviously Hispanic population. We have a high African American population. I mean, Houston, I mean, like Dallas, I mean, it's so diverse. I mean, obviously, where I probably live still is mostly Republican, but there's a lot of Democrats here as well, and I think obviously Trump will still win Texas, but I think it's going to be closer than what people think. I mean, I don't see him winning by 10%. I think it's going to be somewhere between 6 and 8% win, and maybe even a little less, because I do think Latinos are coming out, in pretty heavy to vote. And obviously he's not going to win any of that population based on his comments and things.
Hey, Mike, this is Ted, the New York liberal.
Hey.
Any results? Hey. Any results? Any of the national races that have surprised you so far? Anything that you're hearing on any early results?
I'm actually surprised. I'm actually a little bit surprised. I mean, it's still an early vote. Some of the polls are still open out there in Florida. I'm actually surprised that Hillary doesn't have a little bit bigger lead with the early vote in Florida, because we heard about 39% was non-white vote early, and and I guess it's basically even within a couple thousand votes now. I still think when it's said and done, once the polls close and Broward County comes in, I think she still wins. But I really thought that she would be up a little more. So I could see when the northern part of Florida comes in, which is predominantly Republican, it's going to keep it close. So, but I still think she edges it out, and then obviously, once she wins that state, the race is over. I mean, I think it's over anyway. I mean, it's just simple math. There's no way for him to get to 270. I mean, unless something crazy happens.
And Mike, kind of staying with the early vote, it's been a big story. Your thoughts on what's caused that? Is that the 3-to-1 advertising push that Hillary had, or what's your overall thoughts with that?
Oh, I think it was just Trump himself. I mean, is there any group that he hasn't offended yet? I mean, is there anybody left other than white males who drive pickup trucks and rebel flags and have white sheet stuck under their front seat? Who else is he not offending? If anybody can be, nobody should be shocked by these results. I mean, it's the impending implosion of the Republican Party, and I tell you, I voted today down here in my precinct. I guess it was about 4:30, 5 o'clock, and I can tell you, I generally, look at local elections quite heavy. And there's some people that I know that even though they may be Republican, they're not just right-wing crazy. And then there's some Democrats that I really like. And, I'm usually split about, 50-50 generally all the way from the top all the way down to the bottom of the ballot in most years, because of local state races and those things. This year is probably the first time, and I don't think I've ever done it. I've never voted straight Republican. And I think this year is the first time I've ever voted straight Democrat, and it was just because I'm sending a message, and I even told some local Republican, representatives and local constables that I like and voted for in the past that I can't vote for you because you just did not come out and speak out against this idiot nationally. Y'all just kind of went in the woods, and I said I'm sending a message. I said, I'm only one vote, but I'm just not supporting any Republican that didn't publicly speak out. They drew a line like a football team and just said, no, this is our guy, we're running with it. And I have more respect, and I basically said if any local Republican that's running will speak out against them, and I like them, I'll vote for them. And they didn't, so I went in there today. I was in and out of there in about 20 seconds. I hit the straight Democratic thing and left, and I haven't done that one, and I don't think ever.
Hey, Big Mike, you said that you will shoot anybody on your lawn. Did you invite any of those candidates to kind of hang around a little, or? Well, I can't invite them because then. Yeah, no, I say that. I say that because
I know Texas is just but yeah, we're big. We're big on that. It's a hunting state. And what's funny is I'm not a hunter. I don't get much thrill in going out in the woods and shooting an animal, but I respect those who do. If that's what you want to do, go sit in a deer stand and freeze your butt off and watch and throw corn out and shoot deer. Good luck to you. But I do own weapons. We're a concealed carry state. I support that. I know that a lot of people don't. But again, that's where I've heard me say this before. My liberal friends think I'm too conservative, and my conservative friends think I'm too liberal because I just take each issue by issue. I'm a big, I believe that people should be able to smoke weed if they want, and I believe you should be able to marry who you want. So obviously that goes way different than my Republican friends. So it is what it is.
Yeah, you follow any thread on a Big Mike post on Facebook, and you'll see he gets called out by everybody. Well, what do you think the third parties, like the Libertarians and the Green Party, are they going to gain any traction from?
No. And you know what? When I always fill out these surveys and things online of my beliefs, it's funny. I always, percentage-wise, come out a little bit more libertarian. And I would like to support a libertarian candidate, but then when the more you delve into their websites and you start reading, like this Gary Johnson guy, he's barely literate. So you start looking at him and you say, good Lord, how do I align with this guy? So what I really do is I have to take it issue by issue and say, who do I align with the most, and then roll with it. But yeah, I think in this country, we're going to be a two-party system for the foreseeable future, unless the electorate just becomes so frustrated, and which obviously the Republicans have. By electing a cartoon character.
And this is a two-parter here, and then this is my last question for you. If Hillary wins by a landslide, is that going to mute Trump? And if she just wins closely, how far is he going to go to contest the election? Because we can be pretty sure he will.
Oh, I think he's going to come unhinged about 9:30 or 10:30 Eastern time tonight. I think he's going to go completely, regardless of the results. I've already been monitoring Twitter, and some of his followers are the reality starting to sit in, and they're already saying it's rigged. Colorado, all the voting machines are going down. So I mean they've already set up the narrative. Now they're just going to rant. But I mean it looks like the Senate may go Democrat as well. So yeah, he's going to. I don't think if he loses by 50 electoral votes or it's 340 to 190 something, I think his reaction is going to be the same. It's who he is. I mean, he's a narcissist.
Good point.
Nutcase.
The narcissist nutcase. That's a new political party. Before you go, one more question.
If I could jump in real fast.
Yeah, jump in.
A whole bunch of new states now: Illinois, New Jersey, all going to Clinton. No surprises, probably. Illinois, New Jersey, Massachusetts. So yeah, I mean, there's all the projections they're making currently are just all Clinton states. So anyway, just wanted to jump in real fast and say that.
Good jump. The last question. Nothing to do with the election. This goes right to your heart. Has Charlie Strong done enough to save his job?
Oh boy, this is what's going on. About 2 or 3 weeks ago, and I'll make it brief so y'all can move on. But 8-4 was pretty much the reports that were coming out of the UT administration, and then the bar got lowered to 7-5, I guess, last week. And I firmly believe if we're competitive over the last 3, and he loses one, and they're 7-5, he probably comes back. 6-6, there's no way he survives. 7-5, there will probably be a push, but at 7-5, we're hearing basically that he's got enough still powerful big money guys behind him that it would be split. So, and obviously not having a permanent AD. I mean, we have a permanent AD, but he's a short termer. He was just hired to fill in for Patterson. So I guess if I was projecting today, he probably goes 7-5. He probably gets one more year. We're probably going to hire a new AD in the spring of 2017, and then that'll set the stage for 2017. And then I think the expectation will be 9 games minimum, probably 10 next year. If he goes 8-4 or less next year, he'll probably be let go. But if I had to guess today, I think he would be back. I mean, I think we'll go 2-1. We got Kansas on the road. We should beat them, and then we are undefeated at home. So we could beat West Virginia. I mean, we could win both. We could lose both. I think they're toss-ups, but I figure we split them. We go 7-5, get to a bowl. If he goes 8-5, you got a little momentum, and then it's all on 2017. We'll see what happens. Now, with that said, there's a lot of people that just don't think he's the right guy. They're off the train, and I tend to lean that way myself. I've just seen too many in-game blunders. I mean, I think he's made a lot of bad coaching decisions. His in-game management is about the worst I've ever seen. So I guess if you're happy winning 7, 8, 9 games a year, he's probably your guy. But if you want to be championship level, I'm of the belief he'll never get us into a playoff conversation. So I guess the worst fear, if you're in my camp, is he drugs along at this, 9 wins for the next couple of years, and then we fire him. But if he is back in 2017, I think the leash is going to be pretty short. And I'm not convinced that he survives, but we are hearing 7-5. I would put it at 70% he's back. 6-6, absolutely no way. He'll be fired.
Mike, I wish you wouldn't hold back so much. It's really hard to tell how you feel about things.
Yeah.
Where can our listeners find your work, sir?
Well, hopefully we'll be back live this week. I've been off for a couple of weeks, been extremely busy in the real job and other things, and I had some family issues. My mom, who lives up right outside Detroit in Michigan, had a stroke the other day, so I've been dealing with her and trying to get her some help up there. So it's been kind of a rough deal. But normally the show is on Wednesday nights on Blog Talk, 8 p.m. Central. We go for about an hour and 15 minutes. Obviously, it's UT football and all athletics-centric podcasts, but obviously we do talk politics and other sports and everything. You just can't but do that. And like the guy said right when I was listening, when I came on, y'all have an excellent show as well. I'm yours and about 2 others I listen to all the time, so I always appreciate y'all.
Thanks so much.
Thanks, Mike. Yeah. Yep. Enjoy election night.
Hey, and Ted up there, I like New York liberals too. Don't take anything personally. Y'all, hey, like I got conservative friends and far left friends. I'll drink a beer with anybody.
Gotcha.
Right.
If we're ever in the same state, we'll have a beer together.
Absolutely. Well, I plan on getting up to Washington D.C. this summer. My wife wants to tour the Capitol and all that, and I want to do a day trip or two over to New York. So if I do, I'll definitely hit you up.
That sounds good. Looking forward to it.
All right. Y'all be good. Have a great night.
You too. Thanks. The show brings people together of all, people who live in the South and live in the North. So it's good. It's real good, right? Hopefully you guys can hear me. Did you guys drop?
Yeah. Loud and clear.
Actually, literally, I could not hear anybody for a minute. I was like, did you drop? So currently...
We were letting you speak.
Why?
And now we won't. Now we won't.
Currently, North Carolina with 49% of the vote in. Of course, North Carolina is so weird and spread out. 49% of the vote. Clinton has about an 8%. Now it just went down to 7.3% with 50% of the vote. So you see how quickly it changes. Florida with 78% of the vote in is tightened up. Clinton leads by 0.6%. Of course, I don't know where that 22% is. That could be a Democratic area that's really starting to come in with the later votes. Georgia, of course, Trump's way ahead. There's a lot of states that, of course, have already been projected, and I don't think any of them are surprises. Right after they announced Clinton, they announced that Trump was projected to win Tennessee, Mississippi, and Oklahoma, hotbeds of Democratic Party. He's also projected to win Indiana, Kentucky, and West Virginia, and Hillary has projected to win Vermont. It's funny, Vermont used to be, a little before our time, but Vermont used to be a really red state, and it's just totally blue now. Massachusetts, Rhode Island, New Jersey, Maryland, Delaware, D.C., and Illinois are also going to Clinton at this point. You can only assume that New York is going to go Clinton. Big thing is Florida. If Clinton does win that, it seems like these elections usually come down to Ohio or Florida, and whoever wins Florida will probably win this election. If Clinton wins it, she'll probably win pretty easily, and she still may do that because the West Coast is going to go blue. Your guys' thoughts on any of those states?
Well, I'm just looking at Florida right now, and exit polls show that 90%.
You live there. You look out your window and you see Florida.
I'm taking my own exit polls. 90% of Democrats voted for Clinton. 88% of Republicans for Trump, and on independents, 44% for Clinton and 45% for Trump. So it's pretty narrow. And the breakdown of the voting population is 33% Democrats, 32% Republicans, and 35% independents. Based on this exit poll, it's about 4,000. So very, very tight race. A lot of times they'll get late results in from Miami-Dade, obviously. I mean, they're in, but more votes typically will trickle in. We'll see what happens.
And Miami-Dade is good for Democrats. Is that correct? Or is it not correct?
Yes. Yeah, it is. 64% right now for Clinton, 33% for Trump. Typically more metropolitan areas, at least in most states, they're going to go more for the Democrat, et cetera. So, and there's still several small counties up in the Panhandle that haven't reported yet. But, it's going to be very tight. But the thing is, she might not even need Florida. I mean, the way things look like they're breaking out, because he doesn't really. There's no surprises from him whatsoever, and she's leading in a lot of the. Like Florida. I mean, she's leading. It's very narrow, like you said, 1.4%, but it's a lead. So.
Right. Yep. And the funny thing is, this will never happen again. But the CNN election results page is who's first and who's second. Pennsylvania with 0% of the vote in. Actually, has Clinton and then Johnson. So I thought, oh, that's interesting. You don't even see Trump's
right.
name.
That's not going to happen again.
One thing that I'm not proud to admit, but I will admit, I didn't know Florida had two different time zones. Todd, you didn't tell me.
Well, barely.
Yeah, barely. It's just a little chunk up in there in the Panhandle that we don't even call Florida. It's just Alabama, Georgia. Yeah, doesn't count.
Northern Florida doesn't really count, does it? I mean, it's really just southern Georgia.
Yeah, it's southern Georgia.
So, but yeah, I mean, so Ted, you voted today in New York, on Long Island. It was on Long Island, right? You didn't. That's where you voted, and you voted at 6:15. And long lines, just really long lines everywhere.
It was, I had planned to be out there about 5:45, but the old body just couldn't do it at meaning getting up and getting situated. So I got out there about 6:10. I was parked, and that's where I noticed. I said, "Man, there's no parking around my local elementary school." And Senator is so funny. State Senator Ray Cronin was right outside the polling site. And, the big question was, should he have been there, or was he too close? Because he was right there saying, hey, make sure you guys vote Democrat across the line. Because at first you've heard all those comments about monitors or potential monitors, and DOJ was dispatching people. And this is, Todd and Lee, this is just the three of us being the three of us. So it's a predominantly black area, and you see a Caucasian man standing out there, and I'm like, is this guy DOJ? Is he this? Is he that? and standing right there saying, this is who I am. Make sure you vote for me for state senator. So it was very interesting. But the lines were pretty long.
And grandson of Joe Cronin. A lot of people don't know that, but no, I just made that up.
but it went. I will say this much: like my wife was saying, they weren't organized, but like I knew what table to go to, because I've been doing this probably much more regularly than she's been doing this. She only votes like during presidential elections, and I kind of tell her from time to time again, I said, you got to vote local. So we went in there. They were slightly unorganized, but it's like you're helping the person behind the counter saying, okay, this is who I am. And New York is one of the states, they don't ask you for ID. So I can go in there and say, hey, I'm Boba Fett. And they're like, oh, okay, hold on. What street do you live on, Mr. Fett? And they would seriously try to, so when you hear that there's conversations or mentions of people doing, multiple voting, going somewhere, voting 4 or 5 times, that's legitimate in New York. That could potentially happen, because you got to think about it. These people are volunteers, or they're being paid a stipend, and they, in their minds, they're performing a civic duty. And they, like I said, they don't ask for ID, even though I had my ID always in hand and I'm ready to hand it to them. And they're like, I don't need that. Just tell me your street. Okay, here's your signature. Sign on line 25. And
how do
that.
They regulate that, though? How do they have to have some way of regulating it, right? I mean, how do you? That seems like it'd be totally chaos.
Oh, it is. I mean, the deal is, based on where you live, if you've been voting regularly, when you walk into the gymnasium, you know what table to go to. You know what section to go to. And then from there, because if not, you can get lost, because you're showing up to one table and they're like, oh, we're not, like I live on Rhodes. So, I go to one table and they're like, oh, no, we're doing A through C. So you have to know which table to go to. And it is unorganized, and it is like there are no checks and balances. But I don't know what to say. But, yeah, no ID, no nothing. And once we were in, there was like it would have been 1, 2, 3, but the gentleman just before me, he was an older gentleman. I let him go before me. He was just clueless. had no idea about inserting his ballot into the machine, and I was just like, will someone please help this guy? and so that added on an extra maybe 10 minutes. But it was rather quick. It was rather quick.
We have the little the ballot machines that you turn in Tennessee. So you turn, and they're electronic, so there's no paper, except for where you input whatever the code is, the 4-digit code, and then you turn it. And I can see where older people would have a difficult time with that because it's not something they grew up with. But you turn it, and then you hit enter, and turn it, and hit enter. So I mean, it goes really quickly that way. But and just to catch everybody up, 86% of the vote in for Florida. It's a dead heat, exactly a tie at this point. Of course, that's with 14% left, and I don't know where those areas are. That could be a lot of northern counties, and of course, then it would skew everything. So I don't know what Todd's seeing. Todd, are you seeing it? If you're still with us, I wonder if Todd's dropped off. Todd may have.
I don't know. But Lee, I want to say this much: we are using, I don't know if you guys are using it, but up here we're using a modified Scantron sheet. Is that what you guys are using down there?
We have no sheets whatsoever. So you walk in and you show your registration or your voter ID card along with your ID. And then you go to that table, and then you go to another table where you sign this, and then they give you a little piece of paper that has a 4-digit code. So you walk over to the ballot machine, and the ballot machine you have to turn the little tumbler. So say you have 4416 as your number, you turn it, and you hit 4416, and you hit enter, and then it takes you into the ballot, and it's all electronic. There's no more paper involved whatsoever. And then you hit cast ballot. There's a button that says cast ballot, and you do that, and it casts your ballot. It'll show you everything you voted for before you hit cast ballot, just to make sure, because you can always go back, which I like. Then you hit cast ballot, and you're done. So I mean, I think the voting machines are good in Tennessee, the ones we have. So because if all you have to do is turn the wheel, and then hit enter, turn the wheel. So it's really easy. But Todd obviously has left us. Actually, he's called back in. What happened? Where'd you go?
Yeah, I'm not sure what happened.
You're on there twice right now.
Yeah, what I showed, I was still connected. I just disconnected from the laptop. But anyway, yeah, we use the Scantron down here. Same thing. What I was going to say, Ted, is when you go, since you don't have to show ID, because I know they used to have it. Can't remember where the heck it was, but they just had your name on the list, and if you go to the right precinct, they're going to find your name. And if you're at the wrong precinct, you can't vote because you're not on the list. And once they cross you off, you can't show up again. So that's the safeguard. But not quite as good, obviously, as showing ID. But I mean, once you're in, you're checked in, and that's it.
Because one of my buddies who had recently moved, but he didn't update his voting registration. So he went to his new precinct, and they looked at him like he had, 3 or 4 heads.
Yeah. No doubt. I've actually been in that position once. Yeah, I was looking at the Google's thing instead of CNN just to see if they had anything more up to date, but actually looks like they're further behind CNN's results. So.
Which one is?
Just the Google's election results. They seem to be not as up to date as CNN. So.
Well, it's because it's a rigged election, and liberal CNN is getting those because they already know what the votes are. I mean, they're kind of playing with us, really. 100% of the vote is in across the country, and they're just making it look. I mean, they have to keep people watching, right? So you got to build up that suspense. If they just told us, everybody would tune in to Goliath, an excellent show with Billy Bob Thornton on Amazon right now. But you don't want to do that. If you're CNN, you want them to keep watching. So that's why Florida's so tight. It's 48.5. Really, it's 80-20 Clinton, but they just don't want to tell us that because it's rigged. It's rigged. It's a rigged election. So this part of the program is sponsored by Goliath, a wonderful new show on Amazon starring Billy Bob Thornton and William Hurt.
Did you watch the whole season? Did you watch the whole season yet, or?
We are on actually we're on the last show, so we're on show 8, I think, or just the very end of show 7. Have you watched it?
Not yet.
It's good. I mean, Billy Bob Thornton. If it wasn't Billy Bob Thornton, then the show would be like, eh. But I mean, he alone makes it watchable and entertaining. So, because people say what they want about Billy Bob Thornton, but the guy can act his ass off when he wants to. So,
Yes,
he's good. Yeah.
Completely off his body.
Yeah.
One thing
and
I'm just
not bad either. So.
Just looking through state-by-state results, because I looked at Florida, and Johnson only has 2% of the vote, and I thought, that seems really low, because he wasn't. Most other states he is, I mean, obviously it's low, but I mean, most other states he's polling 4 or 5%. But it's interesting that he didn't have much support here. I mean, obviously he didn't have a lot of support anywhere, but Florida seemed to be more energized by one of the two candidates, because Johnson has 2.1% so far, and Stein has 0.7%. So pretty much everybody here was voting for Trump or Clinton. Interesting, because in a lot of states it's Johnson 4.8 in Indiana, Johnson 4.4 in Oklahoma, so 5.6 in Massachusetts. So
88% right now is still a dead heat on the merry-go-round. It's 48.5 each. So Harrison Ford's my first film, by the way. So, turning slowly into cinema savants. So Luke Cage, everyone. No, I'm just kidding. So, anyway, that's where we are. So we probably should jump off the air so Danny actually has airtime when his show starts in just a little bit, talking NBA. So you guys have any final thoughts?
My final thought is I'm still kind of worried. Not too worried, but still a little worried. Right.
I am concerned. Totally.
Well, I think that Clinton has to win. I get worried if she doesn't win Florida, because at some polls I've seen her have, not just a close. I mean, it was like 4%, 3%, and if they're that far off, it does make me worry. It looks like right now it's Trump has about an 8,000 vote lead, and again, we don't know where those votes. I don't know where those votes are coming from. It could be that the whole of Miami-Dade is not turned in, and she wins it by 15%. But it's still. I mean, some of the other. I mean, Ohio's not close right now, but it's going to get closer. North Carolina's not close. So if she wins North Carolina, and she wins Ohio, who gives a shit about Florida, right? So,
well, as far as Florida goes, Palm Beach is trending for Clinton, and I mean it's Democratic, so even if Trump lives there, it doesn't make any difference. They only have 25% of the vote in Palm Beach, and Clinton's at 59 to 39. Miami-Dade, 80% of the vote is in, and Clinton is up 63 to 34. So, in Broward, I just used this happened last time. Broward has virtually. Okay, this makes no sense. It says estimate 0% in, but yet there are almost 600,000 votes counted, so that's obviously not right. So
God, how many people live in Broward County? Jesus.
Apparently 50 million.
Votes.
Bizarre. So there'll be more.
Breaking news, actually. Florida is now twice the size of California. So a lot of people moved there overnight.
Really? That's the joy of, if we had a good IT person working on CNN, Ted, that would be fixed. That would be fixed, sir.
Hey, little Marco won his re-election bid.
Little Marco. Yeah, well, that's so he can go back and not vote again millions of times.
Yep. And he'll be right back at it in 2020.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, he will.
Well, that's our show. So Danny can be on his show. So everyone, thanks to Rob for listening. Big Mike for listening. Thanks, Rob, for being on the show. That's why the show needs to
Thanks
be
for
over.
listening, Rob.
Thanks, Rob.
We needed Rob.
That was fabulous. And Big Mike, thanks for listening as well. So, thanks to those guys for being on. Of course, late night folks, Danny Thompson has his NBA show coming up. Late Night Parent, is there a show tomorrow? Live show? Unshow? Is there a live unshow? Live show?
I'm working on, probably won't be a live show tomorrow. I got to talk to EJ because I'm thinking about doing something for Veterans Day. So I'm just waiting on a final confirmation. So no live show tomorrow, but 2 new podcasts will be on tomorrow night.
Okay, and then we'll have the Seahawks show on Thursday night. special Thursday night show since the game was last night. And we'll talk the Bills win and then discuss the Patriots game with Steve Balistrieri, who's been a guest with us a lot of times. Really super nice guy from covers the Patriots. And then hopefully Late Night Parrot possibly on Friday, and then Baseball, Beer, and Barbecue, which we'll be talking wild card, I guess, at this point. And not wild card, but what the hell am I saying? The show needs to be over.
Just say goodnight. I think you're done.
No, free agency, and then Sunday, of course, we'll be talking movies.
Are we gonna talk about Tebow and his walk-off hit last night?
No, we are not.
Okay,
but we will talk Pettis, and we will talk Chapman and everything under the blue moon. And when it comes to wild cards of free agency, that's how it is. So, and then Cinema Savants on Sunday. So again, the election's all rigged. So basically, we already have Tim Kaine's speech that he gave at the winning party in New York City tonight. This is a speech.
6 years ago, I looked at a picture of the world's greatest newspapermen. I felt like a kid in front of a candy store. Well, tonight, 6 years later, I got my candy, all of it.